Hello and welcome to Weston Nurseries Lincoln on a nice warm June day. We finally have summer coming to us, and June is pollinator month, so I want to talk to you a little bit about pollinator plants, maybe throw in a couple of facts about pollinators that I know, and I'm going to feature a few plants which are basically, yes, they are all natives or nativars at the moment, because in the coming week we are going to be doing a special for pollinator plants. Certain perennials will be at the special price of $9.99 for a 1-gallon container. So while I haven't got exactly the same plants here, I've got very similar ones, and I want to give you an idea of what we'll be showcasing, and also to talk about these plants that are very beneficial to pollinators. What I haven't mentioned so far is all of these particular plants are sun lovers. So the first plant I'm going to start with is Yarrow Achilia. This one is still actually a cultivar, but it is closest in appearance to the native Yarrow Achilia millefolium, and the native plant has the white flowers. Others come in native, in cultivar colors. They come in shades of yellow, peach, apricot, even red and pink. So breeders have added extra colors to them, but fundamentally they keep the same foliage style and the same flower shape. So what makes these so good for pollinators is that they are lots of tiny little flowers, and they create what is known as a landing platform for pollinators. So particularly good for certain types of bees, butterflies, because they can actually rest while they feed. And the colors that they come in are attractive to the pollinators as well. Plants, in order to get pollinated, to take pollen from one flower to another, they use various means to attract insects, one of which is nectar. So nectar doesn't really serve the plant any benefit other than to lure pollinators to it, who in the process will also either gather pollen or just accidentally take it on their bodies to the next plant, and thus transfer it to another flower so that pollination can occur. Plants in the mint family have lots of nectar. Nectar is the fuel that the carbohydrates that keeps all the pollinators going, so they need the energy from nectar. Pollen is also food to a smaller degree, but it is fundamentally used to be the protein, the building blocks for their young. So that is why they're collecting pollen, it is to feed the next generation, to help them grow and develop into adults. Plants and their pollinators have been around for millions of years, and they've figured out the best ways to make things work for themselves. And this is why native plants often are an ideal solution for this, because they've both been in the area for ages, and the way the flowers look are because of the pollinators that have come to them over millions of years. And moving on to our next perennial that is going to be part of our sale, Liatris spicata in this case, common name gay feather, another common name of blazing star. And this will produce, it's on its way to doing so, a tall spike of naturally purple flowers, although we do have cultivars with white flowers these days. The really cool thing about this plant is the flowers open from the top of the spike downwards rather than the normal from the bottom up. Again, clusters of lots of little flowers, purple being great for bees and that. So bees are the main pollinators. You maybe see wasps. Believe it or not, wasps are actually great pollinators. Not as efficient as some of the bees, because wasps do not have hairy bodies like bees, but they do inadvertently carry pollen around because they also eat nectar. In your garden, wasps also are carnivores, so they will eat other pests, other insects. So they really are doing you a service if you can leave them be. I understand if you've got a nest above your front door, yes, you're going to have to deal with it, but for the most part, they're happy to do their own thing, and they will provide beneficial services as well. And interestingly, all bees are actually descended from wasps. Wasps existed before bees, and somewhere along the line, bees became bees because they realized that they could get all their nutritional needs from flowers. They are basically vegetarian wasps. So anyway, I digress again. This is Liatris. As I say, this will be blooming in the next few weeks with tall spikes of purple flowers. So the next plant that I'm going to feature here, again, not quite in bloom, but won't be too long, is Rudbeckia fulgida, commonly known as Blackeyed Susan, although this one is marked up as orange coneflower. That's why we have botanical names, because we tend to apply the same common name to multiple plants. It is what I would call a Blackeyed Susan, and it has beautiful yellow daisy flowers with a brown cone. Again, this is a common flower shape, the daisy sort of shape, that is great for pollinators. Things like butterflies can rest on there while they feed, and obviously bees are certainly attracted to them. So butterflies are attracted to the widest range of colours of flowers of all the pollinating insects. They can actually see way more colour than we can in both spectrums of infrared and ultraviolet and everything in between. They just need a landing platform, you know, something they can sit on. So it can either be, as I say, like the Achillea, it can either be daisy-like. Daisy is a great type of flower in all its forms for pollinators, or they can be something sort of long and tubular, a cluster of flowers that they could sit on. Then if I move back a bit and sort of work left to right, first one I've got here is beard tongue, Penstemon. Penstemon digitalis. This isn't actually it, but a very similar native. I just wanted you to get an idea of the type of plant that it will be. And if you watched the last time I did a perennials video, I did feature cultivars of Penstemon. So next to the beard tongue is a milkweed, Asclepias incarnata, in this case, swamp milkweed. So it doesn't have to grow in a swamp to actually be happy, but unlike the orange butterfly weed, Asclepias tuberosa, it prefers to be evenly moist. It doesn't really want to bake and dry out. It's a taller plant, and it has small little clusters of pale pink to white flowers naturally. We do have a couple of cultivars. Ice Ballet is the one that I can immediately recall, is white flowered, and there is a pink one, I believe, on our bench. But the straight species will be part of the Perennials pollinators sale. And then moving on to our next plant, Eupatorium. Again, usually more of a later summer flowering plant. Can be quite tall, as the species can easily get to 6 feet tall, and has big clusters of pale pink flowers. So lots and lots of tiny flowers in a big cluster. Again, a great settling place for pollinators to do their thing. Cultivars, I have a little one here. Obviously not everybody wants a highly vigorous 6-foot perennial in their yard, but it is an attractive plant. It's very easygoing. And so we do have cultivars. Little Joe is one of them that only get to about 3 to 4 feet tall, so far more manageable if you've got a smaller space. Worldwide, there are 7 bee families. One of them is only found in Australia, but scientists have found representatives of all the other families here in Massachusetts. Some of them are really common, like the eastern bumblebee. Others are really quite rare. Also, I want to mention that of those bees, about nearly 75% of them nest in the ground. Only 5% of the bees found in Massachusetts nest in a hive of some sort, and that includes the western honeybee, which of course is not native but is a valuable agricultural resource. Bumblebees are the other hive nesters, and of course they are also used to pollinate agricultural crops such as blueberries and tomatoes and peppers and that. Basically, New World plants, because they actually have a skill set that most other bees don't have, which is called buzz pollination. And they are particularly adept at getting into tubular flowers. And what they actually do is vibrate their wings at a certain frequency, and it shakes the pollen from the anthers onto their bodies. In fact, bees, I forget which way it's around. I think bees are negatively charged and the pollen is positively charged. It might be vice versa. I'm not too good at remembering all my facts, but they have a different charge. And so the pollen is naturally drawn to the bees' bodies. But yes, so things like tomatoes, peppers and blueberries are commercially pollinated by bumblebees because they are more efficient at it than honeybees. Similarly, as certain types of mason bees will pollinate fruit trees in the spring because, again, they are able, like the bumblebees, to be out in colder and wetter weather. Honeybees prefer it a little bit warmer. So our native bees are generally more adapted to the conditions that you find at any time of the year that there are flowers to be pollinated. So enough of that for the moment, and we're going to get on to our last plant, which is sitting over here. It's mountain mint, and I really am going to have to look at the name for that one because it is, I'm not going to be able to pronounce it. Pycnanthemum muticatum. Oh, take my word for it, it's mountain mint, and we will all know it as mountain mint here if you come looking for it. This particular one is quite large leaf. Some of them are quite fine, delicate foliage. And again, they're aromatic plants, so bunnies don't eat them. They don't go for the Joe Pye weed either, nor the milkweed. These are ones that are also good for bunnies. But the mountain mint will top itself with clusters of pale sort of lavender, pinkish flowers. Again, very popular with pollinators, particularly in my experience from what's growing in my yard, native wasps, you know, so the solitary wasps, the ones that you don't really see so much of, although northern paper wasp is quite a common one, and you can find them pollinating them as well. As I say, we are celebrating Pollinator Month with a special offer on certain native plants. But hopefully I've given you the idea of what we're going to have in our stores in the next few days. And if you like what you've seen, you can follow more videos like this on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe. In the meantime, I'm Catherine, signing off for now. Thank you.